London AIM-listed Powerhouse Energy Group recycles waste materials that would otherwise just be thrown away or burnt, giving energy in the form of synthetic gas. It's just reported earnings. Let's talk now to the chief executive, who is Paul Emmitt, and also Ben Brier, who's the chief financial officer. And Ben, I want to start off with you first of all, because I think it's important to look at these numbers in the context of what Powerhouse has been doing recently. And ask you the question, what do you consider to be the highlights? It's quite clear the company's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we've got a number of highlights in the year. Year ended 31st of December. First highlight is operating losses down by £300,000, and that's due to savings pushed in the last quarter of 2023, and also benefits from acquisitions in the year. The two acquisitions we made in the year were Engsolve and Protos, both bringing value to the company, and both part of the future development of the company. Engsolve being looking to improve the revenue stream and bring revenue direct into Powerhouse, and Protos brought value through asset and debtors into the company. So positives: reduction in administration expenses, 2 acquisitions, and as per in relation to cash is looking good at year end, 4.3 million in the bank. This was due to, again, 2 acquisitions and good cost management. The year end, last quarter of 2023, Paul, our CEO, put some cost reductions in place, which will definitely benefit through to 2024 and keep our cash runway long enough to carry on trading and look for technology development.
Yeah, I'm interested in looking at what's happened this year as well. These numbers are out up to the end of last calendar year. How has this year started, the first 6 months of 2024?
Yeah, this year's good. Forecasts, we're holding forecasts. The cost reductions put in place at the end of 2023 were good. We're being as tight as we can. We're being as sort of flexible in relation to new business as we can, but the main focus is to keep the cash runway and to make sure that we can sort of move forward with distance and make sure that we can carry on generating or carry on looking at the technology and pushing out there into projects.
Ben, thanks. Let's turn now to Chief Executive Paul Emmitt. Paul, it's an interesting story, and we spoke earlier this year about precisely what it is you're doing, and you fit nicely into all these categories that we're talking about at the moment, trying to help us recycle and generate power out of what it is effectively rubbish. And pick up on a point that Ben was making about the cash on the balance sheet. This is a company worth about 63 million in total. You've got 4.3 million in cash. What's the priority now for the business with that cash in mind?
I think the priority for the business at the moment is to finish and complete the technology centre. We've got the kiln is pretty much coming off the ship tomorrow. It'll be on site within the next week, and that's really our next huge milestone for the company. Really, we will have something that people can visit, something that people can, as they say, kick the tires of in Bridgend. And that technology centre will take a little bit of our cash. It's all been budgeted for, but most of the equipment is already purchased. So it's just time now for installation and commissioning.
Where is the technology centre?
So it's in Bridgend in South Wales. I brought it home. I think it's the easiest thing to say.
Talk to a little bit more about the project wins you had last year. A couple of acquisitions, as we've been hearing about, and the general sort of operational progress of the company.
Okay, so we restructured last year when I took over. Really, I wanted to bring it back to being run like a small business, like a startup rather than a corporation. We restructured the board. We've now got a really strong board, and as you see, David Hitchcock was made permanent chairman earlier this week. We restructured internally. We made the acquisition of Engsolve, which has brought us a revenue-earning company, which in fact has already paid for itself and made some profit on top. Engsolve has a significant pipeline running into this year and next, which means that in reality we'll be growing over that period. Powerhouse itself, we've obviously signed an agreement with Australia, National Hydrogen of Australia, to deliver potentially 5 or more projects with them. We've set that up on a royalty and licensing basis, so there's no upfront cash of our current cash run for that, but it will bring income, so we will get paid to carry out the feeds.
One of the things we were talking about, as I say, when we last met, was about the USP of Powerhouse. What is the patent position at the moment now about what it is you've got?
So I'm glad you asked that, because we've had a few issues over the last year. So the GB patent has now been granted. We have 3 patents in our suite of patents. One is a GB. We obviously had the issue last year with somebody conflicting the European patent. That's now been resolved, so that will be granted within the next month or so. And we also have one more patent then that will be granted soon after that. In the interim, we've also lodged in Australia, Hong Kong, Canada, and a number of other countries, just to make sure that we've got that protection wherever we think we might build a plant.
Yeah, let me just quickly bring up a share price chart, as we always do, of course, when looking at interviews like this. The red vertical line, you'll recognize this, obviously it'll be indelibly imprinted in your mind. The red vertical line is when we turn from 2023 to 2024. So that was the point at which you reported these last full year numbers. Just to explain what's been going on recently and this big uplift in shares, as I said, the company's now got a market cap of around about 60 odd million pounds. Investors that might be looking at this, what are they buying into? Are they buying into future earnings? Are they buying into present valuations? How do you view the value of the company that's being presented to investors?
I think in reality they're buying into the future earnings. You know, we've got this pipeline now in place. They can see the potential in the future. I think the tech centre plays largely into that sort of mindset. I think we've got the share price. Yes, we spiked. You know, we had a good start to the year. We've been hit a little lately. We don't really know why, but the whole market has been struggling over the last month or so. And we're still significantly higher than we were last year. And I think that we're back on the upturn again. You know, we've got a lot of good points coming now for the business. We've got the tech centre. We've got the announcement eventually of the Australian purchase orders. We've got the AGM coming up where our investors can actually see the kiln down in Bridgend. We're going to hold the AGM in Bridgend. So I think really it's just, we've got to keep chipping away. You know, I think none of this is going to come in the next day. I do think we've wasted a lot of time, but I do think now we're making progress. I think that share price will continue to rise.
Well, look, Paul, it's a pleasure. Thanks indeed for joining us. Be able to catch up with us again on what's happening at Powerhouse Energy Group. That's Paul Emmitt. He's the Chief Executive, joined there earlier by Ben Brier, the Chief Financial Officer of the business.